Today's video, we're going to talk about using a pop-up on your website to pitch to people to get a proposal from your company. And proposal, even if you're doing product sales, this also applies to you, to get up to 180% more profit from your PPC campaigns that you're running actively right now today. And also from your organic traffic and all these other traffic sources that you have to drive traffic, targeted traffic to your site right now. The way that this basically works in short is somebody is going to come to your site, they're going to see a pop-up, and it's going to say, in order to see your mailbox that you're considering and what it'll look like in your driveway or next to your driveway, enter this form here. We'll send you what it looks like on your driveway. And then basically with that, the idea is, in that specific type of situation, you enter your email address and you upload a picture of what your house looks like, and they'll send you back, or we'll send you back, a photograph with the mailbox of choice that you're considering superimposed onto the picture of your house. And with that, it takes a lot of the uncertainty out of the purchase of that mailbox. And it differentiates you. So, and with the novelty factor of it, which, it's exciting just to see that, you'll get up to 180% more profit from your PPC campaigns in the same exact traffic you have right now, adding that one element to what you're doing. And I know what you're saying already to yourself, but Corey, I don't have time to do all that. And the reality is, this is something that you outsource. You outsource it to somebody in Asia that's going to be able to, for several bucks an hour, pump out these images or whatever proposal using a template system, send out these proposals to people where you don't have to directly be involved, or any high-level employee in your current internal organization has to do. So with that, I'll talk about some different examples of where we did this for other companies, or suggested it and they did it, I should say, and got fantastic results with it. It's one of our go-tos to be able to get more out of PPC traffic if a client's willing to do it. And therefore, you should be willing to do it. So with that said, I'll get into the content. Most of the prospects that come into our website, most of the prospects that come to your website have different unique problems, and they're going to be buying at a vastly different rate if you talk to them about their situation beforehand. Obviously, as you know, as a business operator, if you could actually get to understand why your customer is going to proposing and the reason why they're considering buying your product or service, they'll buy at a higher rate having had that conversation with them, because now they have more confidence about your product or service solving their specific issue or desire or need that they have. The problem is, it's a little expensive to be able to do that in a lot of cases, and it really only works if you're selling something over a certain price level. Some of you guys can't afford to do that, so there's a workaround that you can use and still have the personal touch and therefore get most of the results that you're going to get with it by templating this out and outsourcing it completely, to a different country to be able to do and have that hands-on touch point with the user each and every time you have somebody come to the site that, of course, wants it or lets you deliver it to that person, so you can get them to consider your product or service at a higher rate than they normally would have. So with that said, I'm going to give you several examples of how this works in reality, so you know how to implement such similar things in your business to get the similar gains for your business as well. I also have the results we got before and after given at our PPC agency that we run, where we have several dozen clients that we manage at any given time. A lot of times we do offline sales tracking, so if you need to generate leads, or it's usually a long time from the time that somebody comes to your site till they initially decide they're going to buy, we actually track when the person initially engages with us using offline conversion tracking, so that when they eventually purchase, we can track how many of our ad clicks resulted in a sale, even if it takes months for that sale to come through, so that we understand what the true value of our PPC traffic is. And then when we implement something like this, we could see what the actual value of doing it is before and after it's being implemented in terms of the actual, traffic that we're already driving in and the revenue that can be generated from that traffic, even if what we're doing is not a traditional e-commerce business where they would buy right away. So with that said, I'll get into the first example here. First of all, we had a weight loss camp. So if you don't know what this is, by the way, this is basically like a drug rehab for weight loss. You go and you check yourself into this place. It's usually a month, just like regular drug rehab is. You go in there, they have different group meetings and exercise, and they teach you about eating differently, and obviously you eat differently while you're there, and you come out and you actually are primed to do better after that, but you also lose weight while you're there. It's a lot of money, by the way. It's tens of thousands of dollars, just like a regular drug rehab is. It's a money with a lot of business with a lot of money in it. With that said, it's a big purchase. We had a pop-up on the page that would come up for people that came to the site to get our PPC to just work that much better, which, by the way, when you're trying to scale a PPC campaign, there's obviously two ways to do it. You can either figure out how to refine the traffic so you get better quality traffic coming to the site or just more of it for the same price. Or you can get a better funnel so that your site converts better, or the leads that you get convert at a higher rate, right? In a lot of cases, you guys, it'd be easier to get your PPC to work or work better to just go at it from the conversion rate optimization side, where you're getting more of the traffic to convert into business, because there's quite a few things that you can do that'll not just have a small result or take time, but will have a measurable impact in your results, double-digit lifts and ROI in your campaign, and immediately as soon as it's implemented effectively. And with the number of things that you can do on that side to actually improve the conversion rate, it's once you've gotten so far, you've gotten the basic campaigns that you have off the ground, it's generally like what we'll do. It's more efficient to just try to figure out how to make your site convert at a higher rate than to try to just do it from the traffic side and optimize on the traffic side. So what you'll kind of do, the most feasible way to build up and scale a big PPC campaign is you'll spend like the first 6 months trying to get your campaigns fairly dialed in. And then the rate of improvement that you have on your campaigns in terms of the rate of additional profit that you're making with your campaigns will start to level off. Then you're going to go to your site and figure out how to make things convert better, or to be able to get more inquiries like we're doing here, which will then immediately mean more revenue for the same traffic. Then the rate in which your improvements come on that will start to plateau off. Then you're going to go back to the traffic side and try to optimize that again, given if your site converts at twice the rate that it did before when you were trying to optimize the traffic side, the amount of traffic that you could dump in to your site at that point, paid traffic, will be much, much, much more. You have way more opportunities then than you had before. And then you could dump a whole bunch more traffic in it. Eventually you'll hit a plateau, but because you're making more money, you could come back to the site again and you have money to invest in maybe a different website, a different, more professional design that gives the user more trust. And you go back and forth. Ultimately, we'll do that several times throughout the process of optimizing a PPC campaign for a client, for the first 5 years. Spend 6 to 12 months here on this side, 6 to 12 months on this side, and then just go back and forth. As far as optimizing the traffic you have coming in to convert into revenue at a higher rate and to get more revenue out of the same traffic, you just are going to add a pop-up offering an insight as to the results that you're going to offer that person, which is basically a proposal. For some reason, proposals are only used for the most part in like professional services, which is really odd considering it works everywhere else, as I've proven by these case studies. And going back to the example of the weight loss camp though, we had a pop-up that said, see how much you would lose by entering your info. So basically, and you always want a visual with this on your pop-up, so you're not just going to say, see how much you would lose. I mean, that would actually work, certainly, But if you could provide a nice, clear visual as to what you're getting from the proposal, that's exactly what you want, because you're going to get way more results that way. In this case, we can show a before and after photo of what it would look like. And what we actually did with this is we had a graphics designer take the basically the fat person and make it, through editing, make the person look like they're skinnier, so you can see what you're going to look like after you've lost all this weight. And naturally, it's kind of goofy in a way, but it's novel. It's novel enough that if you see a pop-up like that, given 99% of the pop-ups you see that people use on their sites are absolute dog shit, and they're pointless and worthless, this was actually quite clever and is going to get people to fill out the form. If you can't think of something that's actually going to get the person to stop in their tracks and say, damn, that's interesting, don't even do it at all, because it'll just slow down the person from buying from you on your site. All kinds of people try to use those pop-ups to do stupid ass shit, and it's more harm than good. So anyway, with this said, it showed how you're going to physically see how you're going to look differently, and it's also going to show how much weight you're going to lose in terms of the numbers numerically. You're at 180 now after this program, and then instituting our system for the next 60 days after that, you're going to weigh 153, and this is the way that you're going to look. So, and like I said, when you're doing this, the way that you make it work, given a lot of you guys, there's not a lot of money in every customer, so you template it out. You come up with a proposal and find a way to automate it so that somebody in an offshore country can do the whole thing. They can edit the photo of the person to make it look like they're skinnier for the first part of it, like we did here with this client. Or they did, I should say, or advised to the client and gave them the idea to do this. And then also estimate how much weight they're going to lose, which basically it's formulaic. If you're this much, you'll lose more. So if you're over 200 pounds, you'll lose, 40 pounds, versus if you're under 200 pounds, you'll lose 25 in 90 days from the time that you come to our camp, and so forth. You can create like kind of a table, but you create a table and you systemize it so that somebody in the other third world country, whatever, where the rates are just $3-4 an hour to do this work, they could pump out an edited, customized proposal for that user for $5-10. And because they got that, you've narrowed yourself down to basically to where it's only you, because nobody else is probably going to talk to them. And frankly, it's about what do you feel most comfortable with doing and going. Who do you feel the most comfortable with going with? And many times it's just simply who they think is the most prevalent in that industry. Because whoever they think is the most prevalent is probably the lowest risk in their mind. And if they spent the most time with you and analyzing you and reading about you, they probably also think you're the most prevalent in this space, so therefore you can be trusted the most. People tie up those things basically all together. It's similar to how during political season you see political signs all over the place, and all the political signs basically do is just say the politician's name and that's it. The reason for that is because if you've seen someone's name a bunch of times, you think that person is the person that everybody else wants. And your mind doesn't differentiate that this is just the only reason why you think this is because they spam the shit out of their name all over the place, but your mind can't differentiate it. So if you've had a lot of material that they've interacted with, they think that you're the most prevalent player in the space just because they've seen and interact with more content at your brand. So anyway, with this particular use case here, where we offered them a proposal as to what this is actually going to do to your physique, we had an 18% increase in the amount of profit for the same amount of ad traffic that we had before. So in other words, it raised the sales revenue on the same ad spend that we had before by just adding this one little element to our site and landing basically entire website, so that when they get there after, and by the way, when you do this, you're not going to hit them with it right away. If they've been on the web page for around 20 seconds, this pops up. So they're interested enough to actually want to take part of it, or take part with it or from it. Whereas if you hit them with it in the first 5 seconds, it's too soon. This is the other problem I see people that do pop-ups, not only do they have such a bunk offer on them, but they try to hit you up with it right away, which is ridiculous. Nobody's going to give a shit about you until you've earned their respect. And you earn their respect by having a good website that gives them good information. They thought it was good, and then you can hit them with the pop-up, and that pop-up has value at that point. So anyway, 20, maybe at the most 30 seconds in, you hit them up with this pop-up. The pop-up, if this whole thing here is the screen, it should be fairly big so they can't miss it, and it shows visually what you're going to get on the proposal, like an example of the proposal, and it has a summary in the headline of what the proposal is about. That's basically all you do. So anyway, that's one major example of how you can use a so-called proposal pop-up on your site to increase the profitability of traffic you already have coming into your site right now. Moving forward, the second example was for a mailbox seller. What we did in this case for the pop-up was to say, see what your box will look like installed. And I touched on this bit ago. So basically, what you're going to do, or what we did with this, if you're selling a mailbox or selling something else in the home goods space, whether you're selling granite countertops or cabinets or whatever, you just have them send you a photo, and you edit the photo to show them what this product's going to look like in their home, and it gives them an idea. It puts you in position to make you seem like the less risky one to go with out of the other players in the space that do this and are also considering. So again, with your pop-up, you can show an example of what this is. So to best visualize this, you always want a before and after. So you'll show a picture of a house before, and then a picture of a house after, and then an arrow pointing into the other image showing that the image, if you send us an image without a mailbox in it, we'll put the mailbox that you're interested in that image. And then we would have, like, for instance, the picture without the mailbox, and then a picture down here, a separate picture of the mailbox, and then an arrow pointing into the other site where the mailbox is superimposed into that photo. That's basically all you have to do if that's what you're doing as home goods to get your pop-up to have high interaction rates and form submissions on that pop-up. And so with that, they can see just by the visuals, which is what you want, what they're going to get if they fill out the form there. You also had to not only fill out the form, but send your photo, which is a little upload button there, but that we also included that, and that's what you would do in that case. If you're doing home goods, it's the same way. And we had somebody to email them back what the photo with the mailbox that they're interested in it, of course, as well. Naturally, with this, we didn't necessarily ask them what mailbox they're interested in. We just asked them to fill out the form, and then through the email correspondence, we asked them what mailboxes you're interested in. And then we've negotiated it from there. If you were doing that, you could say, what kind of granite countertops are you interested in? And have a drop down where they can select, so you wouldn't have to have that direct integration or direct interaction with them after they filled out the form through email, like we did here with this Mailbox Company. But it's going to be tough to do that because ultimately, it's hard to get exactly what they want and what would go good in the image without having a short conversation with them. For most companies, with most things. So anyway, there's some different options for you there. In this particular case, we had 23% more profit for the amount of money that we're spending, or 23% more profit for the overall ad spend that we were spending by having this pop-up available to give people a so-called proposal showing and being able to see the mailbox that they're interested in their next to their driveway, next to their house. So that's another example of what you're going to do, particularly for the home goods or homes services space. The next example was for a company that sold solar panels. So and part of this, by the way, everybody kind of, regardless of why they're doing it, there's different types of buyers, like I was talking about before, and that's why talking to people always leads to higher sales from the same traffic, if you could actually talk to everybody. and find out what get to the, the rock bottom reason why they're actually considering this product or service of yours. A lot of people in a lot of spaces, there's generally one thing though that everybody kind of wants to know. How much weight am I going to lose? What's this going to look like in my driveway? In this case, in the solar space, it's what's the break-even period in terms of how much money am I going to make and when am I going to start making it? Of the money that I invest in these solar panels, when, with the power that I'm saving, is the cost of what I'm investing, I'm already at break even. I've already covered the cost of the solar panels in the savings of the solar energy or from the power, that I don't have to pay the power company anymore. And instead of just waiting for the sales pitch to do, because they basically do this in the sales pitch a lot of times, instead of doing that before they even get to the sales pitch, which they don't even know they can get this in the sales pitch, but this is the main thing in the solar space people want to know. So we had a pop-up that says, see what your break-even period is with your size of house and the amount of money that you have to invest. Because obviously those are factors. You may only have such a big roof and you want them on the roof. Naturally, also you have such a budget that to invest up front. You can see what the break-in period is and what you're going to make after the break-in period. And so with that, that's what we did. And we had somebody in the back end from another country that could take basic rules, take their inputs, how much they're investing, how much square footage on the roof, and give them an actual chart that shows, okay, here's how, like similar to how you would do like a mortgage calculator, where it shows, okay, now you have 99% of the house that you owe on, 98%, 97%, and it goes and it goes and it goes, and shows some different graphs and stuff like that. That's all templated out ahead of time, and they get some nice fancy chart and data that shows them all of this. And put yourself in their shoes. If you got something like that from somebody up front, who you're going to want to talk to after that for an actual sales pitch? Obviously, the company gave you that data already. And naturally, we would give it to them if they filled out the form and they booked a sales appointment, of course. But there's a lot of people who will not fill out the form or call that weren't offered this break-even analysis before they filled out the form or called. Why do people click on an ad offering solar panels, get to the site and not fill out the form? There's many different reasons. All we know is if we offer them a low barrier to entry offer on something that they would really be helped by up front before they contact us, the interactions that we get with the consumer is going to be more than just expecting them to call us and do everything after they've already called us. That's just how it is. So you can do the extra work to get them for a few people that need a little bit more activation, offer them free information that they want up front before they contact you, and get the extra revenue you're going to get by doing that, or not do it. It's up to you. But to give you an example, if you're doing solar, we got 44% more profit from our PPC ads that we were running by having this as a part of our overall sales funnel. Having this break-even analysis, profit analysis for your investment into solar going through us. And naturally, if you're just investing in solar, you would assume that this break-even analysis is going to apply to anything and anyone you're going to get the solar through. So it's almost like we're saying, hey, look, we're offering you some free information here, basically, essentially. And that's how they're thinking about it as they see it, even though when they get the information, you're the number one on the company on their list to deal with, because they know this information is probably only good if we're dealing with this company's solar panels, not this company's. So then it just becomes easier to do the sales, get the sales pitch through this company versus the other companies. You see how this works? So initially, you're not thinking that you're going to deal with this company necessarily, but once you've invested time in researching the data that you gave them, you do become the company by default that you want to work with. It's a clever way to get your foot in the door with somebody. So and this could transfer over to a lot of things. Anything you can do to get that person engaged in your company quicker, easier, and better before they, the more that you engage with them, bottom line, the more that they're going to buy from the same amount of traffic. And so a lot of times, if all you're trying to do is set up a sales pitch and you're not offering any information up front, you're just not going to make as much money. This is just one effective way to get your foot in the door with somebody who wasn't quite ready to talk to a salesperson. Even though they were ready, they came to the site intending to talk to a salesperson, you're still not going to get as many sales as if you offered them information and gave them that option and that out, so that they ultimately, if they weren't quite ready to talk to you, they could get that first, and then through that now be more willing to talk to you overall than if they didn't get that information from you or offer to them up front. So anyway, 44% more profit for the ad campaigns that we were running, adding that one simple element to our overall system. Teeth whitening. So we're, in this particular instance, we're getting into like AR type systems. In the future, all this stuff that we're talking about could be done through AI systems, artificial intelligence, in other words, where proposals could be generated essentially by taking some basic inputs from the user and outputting a report. In the teeth whitening space, this particular client started out with, if our pop-up in this case was, see what your teeth will look like after using our product, essentially, because it was a teeth whitening product. And on the pop-up, it did the before and after thing like I was talking about that is your go-to. So you can see if your teeth are what they're going to look like, how white they're going to look by uploading a picture of your teeth. And they did it manually to see how much engagement there was with it, which there was a ton, because that's the main thing you care about if you're going to buy one of these products. And to know one product versus another, by having one company offer you an idea of what it's going to look like after, you obviously are just making it easy for that user to choose you at that point. But it's kind of expensive to obviously do that for a $50 teeth whitening product. So what your goal is in something like that, where you have a smaller ticket size, is to automate it. How can we use automation in software, artificial intelligence, to automatically apply a 2 shades whiter to somebody's teeth on a photo that they upload, so that there's no human interaction at all. And that's what they actually ended up doing. And with that, obviously get just as good a results, but without having any labor cost involved in actually delivering that to the user. In that particular instance, they got 71% more profit from their PPC campaigns, having the ability, instead of just buying the product, we have the low barrier to entry, get our foot in the door with that person by allowing them to see how white their teeth will be with this product. So a big result there as compared to some of these other ones. And it'll vary by market based upon how much they don't want to talk to a salesperson, or how unconfident they feel about buying your product or service. And then also, obviously, it depends on how much interaction they're getting with your competitors. Do your competitors, are they happy with talking to people? Then your results are going to be less. If they're not happy with talking to people, because they can't, and neither potentially can you, and you add this element, you're going to get way more profit from your ads right away doing this, because it offers something that your competition does not have, obviously. So anyway, you could use software to do what you're doing. Something to consider, and then given the cost of setting that up, you can start doing it manually, see how much that's going to raise the profitability and conversion rates of your campaign traffic. Once you know that, you can actually forecast out, okay, over the next year, we're going to make another 150 grand by having the ability to offer everybody a small proposal to see what the product's going to do to their teeth, like in this instance, and then understand, okay, well, if we're going to make 150 grand, we can invest 75 grand in an AR system that will do this for us. And it's all just comes down to math at that point. Because obviously hiring somebody offshore to make and edit the photo to make it 2 shades whiter for you automatically, that's cost almost nothing. To run this test is almost nothing. So anyway, that's the type of thing that you want to do at your company, is you push the envelope on PPC, so you can ultimately end up doing a lot more with your PPC, like I was talking about before. Anyway, the last example here to talk about is sales training. Now this is a B2B service, sales training, in a more typical space where you would see a proposal. Since, like I said, proposals are mainly only used in professional services. And though with this said, a lot of people who run professional service sites and campaigns for those services, they all just want you to just fill out the form or call. And even if you're, again, targeting people that are looking for a professional, a lot of people aren't going to fill out the form or call. They're just not. They're never going to. So what you want to do is offer them something so simple, so small, that almost everybody would just take part of it in it, because it's A, easy, and then B, it's information that you absolutely have to have. In this case, we had a message on the pop-up that said, see sales projections using service. Okay, so everybody, when they're going to use a sales training, or this goes for any B2B service, respectively, you either buy a B2B service to save money or to make money in your business. So everybody wants to know how much you're going to save or how much you're going to make. So naturally, a lot of people that sell these B2B services, they try to make it so obscure. Well, these other clients made this, but they don't tell you how much you're going to make, which is a big, big mistake. You want to estimate how much they're going to make, whether or not you actually know it or not. Because people, they have to quantify this. They're not just going to hire you and hope it works. And the more sure about the decision on how much it'll make and will that pay for the service, the more likely they are going to be to buy. This is also why, by the way, at our PPC firm, we do the same thing. We give clients an 8-quarter projection on their PPC results before they even start with us, because that gives them the confidence to do it and see if it's actually potentially possible to make money. And also, we want the client to know what they need, so when we get into it, we aren't wasting our time having set something up that just literally won't work, and we won't have a long-term client out of it. But in this case, the sales training company, we just simply were able to show them, okay, just like we do in our own firm, what are your sales now? How many leads do you have now? What's your close rates now? What's your lifetime value of a customer now? And go down the list with different questions you can ask. You shoot back a sheet that says, okay, with our service, we're typically getting between 60 and 90% lift in sales close rates, having these systems applied to our company after the training program's over. Right away, with the sales leads that you have right now, this is the amount of sales revenue you're going to have per year having this implemented in your business. Bang. Right there, you compare that number to the fee that you're charging for the service, it becomes completely black and white for the user, for that person at that time. And you could start doing this to every person that comes in if you were doing sales training, and get more closing on the leads you already have. But you'll make even more offering this up front before they become a lead, so that before asking for them to fill out the form, which some of them will do anyway on the traffic that you have, you also offer them a free cost-benefit analysis as to sales training, whether it's worth it for you or not, as per at least our services and the results we're getting our average client. Breaking down what they all kind of mentally in their head know they want to know, even though they're not actively looking for it as they get to your page. So anyway, with that company and that offer, showing them a sheet where they're going to see a projection sheet showing how much their sales are going to go up once they've used the service and when, and that whole deal visually, and showing graphs and all that on the actual pop-up, and then showing them how much their sales and profits are going to be after our service. We got 180% rise in profits from our ads by having that one simple thing added to the process itself. Because right away, we started getting over double the amount of form submits and through that landing page that we did before. So naturally, some people, like I said before, would just keep filling out the contact form to talk to a salesperson, because that's what they're more sold on the service. A lot of people weren't sold enough, and they started to fill it in the other form, which was to get to see the sales projections with our service, what they would be with our service applied to your individual internal sales process. And we got a ton of these form fills. And then of the people who fill out the form, a lot of people bought, because once you got that whole big projection that shows you clearly in black and white what you're going to make and is it worth it, a lot of those people turned into clients that, simply, ultimately, if they didn't have that projection, they just wouldn't, and they filled out the form naturally, they wouldn't they did not close at the same rate as if they saw that projection. So we, and part of this 180% was we started offering that projection even if they filled out the form to talk to a salesperson, but we also obviously offered it to them if they filled out the specific pop-up form, offering them the projection as well. But so through both of those, we got 180% more profit from the ads, and without having to adjust the ads, just by having this as a part of the sales process. So anyway, you can beef up your sales process by having a lot of this stuff I talked about after someone's contacted you already. But the real benefit is doing it before they even contact you, to get them it's a tool to where it takes low activation energy to get somebody to initially start down the road of buying with you, so that they do buy from you at a higher rate. Because if what you're asking for is a little bit too high for a lot of people, and they'll just never get into your actual sales process as a result. So anyway, with that said, you can see the major potential of something like this, what it can actually do for you if you implement it and you're in the right space and so forth. So in short, you can do 200% increase in profitability on your ads right away just by implementing this. Obviously, there's a little bit of a cost to outsource and get the actual proposals done, but it's not much, right? A lot of this stuff here, we're talking about $10, maybe $20 per proposal. And so if you're selling something for $50, it may not be feasible. And in that case, you could do like the teeth whitening company and just automate it completely. Just do it manually until you know your numbers and then automate it. If you're selling something for $100 or more, this almost always will work. There'll always be something you can offer as far as a proposal that will be worth, as soon as you template it and outsource it so that you're spending $10 to do a proposal if they fill out the form, that will make your profit of your campaign go up more than the cost of sending everybody that wants a proposal. So with that said, I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hey, if you liked the video, I'd appreciate it if you would give it a like and consider subscribing, as I have a lot of videos on this channel that I put out that are giving you really multi-million-dollar information here as to this is the stuff that we're using in our clients' campaigns at our PPC agency that work. And so instead of having to test all the different things to find out what works on your own, you can just simply use the stuff on this channel and make out like a bandit. We also give you the stuff to just completely avoid, to the point where, literally all you would need to make a lot of money at PPC and what you're doing is simply follow this channel. And by the way, I have a blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog where you can find other information from myself on how to do guaranteed PPC techniques that we use for our clients to guarantee their results. If you like the channel here, you'll love the blog as well. If you have any questions about anything that I shared here today, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days' time. You can actually, by the way, ask me any questions you want about PPC. I'd be happy to try to give you my opinion on it, as that information is also shared to the community here and helps them out as well. As a last thing I want to mention here on this video before I wrap it up, we have a brand new program at our PPC agency where we're offering not just full services, but turnkey PPC campaign templates. In that, if you're in a market that we've already done all the hard work of getting results in that market already, instead of hiring us for full-on PPC management, which is a little bit expensive for some people or it's just not right for some people, you can use the templates of the ad templates, keyword templates, landing page templates that work for that market, and buy it from us for a one-time fee, basically. And as long as there's no conflicts between where you're operating geographically and where our client is operating, and not crossing paths, you can get really good results on your campaign in a relatively short period of time by just having the campaigns that we know work in that market already and using them on your campaigns. For all practical purposes, there's no reason not to buy that from us given the price and how much time and money and effort it's going to take to find those same results for yourself over the years of optimizing the campaign that we've already spent optimizing a campaign in that space ourselves and for our client. So anyway, if you're interested in that, you can reach out to our firm. We have lots of different markets we have results in, a lot of which you could just start up a new business, as we've had before with different clients coming to us, taking one of our campaign templates, outsourcing the work to another person in the space, and having a passive income business as a result of it. So reach out to us if you want to know what results we have and in what markets. We'd be happy to share that. But beyond that, I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. You got a lot out of it. And I'll see you in the next video where we have another fantastic PPC strategy for you there as well. See you there.